We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, you start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
Hillsborough County law officers are looking for the man who firebombed the Winn-Dixie store on Palm River Road and 78th Street tonight. We have 2 reports, beginning with Pulse 13's Warren Ellie, who is at the scene of the explosion. Warren?
Yes, Suzanne, it happened just before 8 o'clock here at the Winn-Dixie store. It was controlled pandemonium. A man walked into the store, apparently with a gasoline can, spread the gasoline across the front of the Winn-Dixie store, threw a match and ran outside. At this time, we now know there is 1 confirmed dead. Another of the 16 injured here tonight.
The worst cases were rushed to Tampa General Hospital. 6 victims, mainly bag boys and checkout clerks. At least 1 so badly burned she was not expected to survive. Phyllis
Good evening, I'm Deanna Lawrence. Tomorrow is a bitter anniversary that some Tampa families are forcing themselves to remember tonight. It was a year ago tomorrow that Billy Ferry allegedly carried a bucket of gasoline into a Winn-Dixie, starting a fire that took 5 lives. Declared incompetent, Ferry is in a state mental hospital tonight, but Pulse 13's Ken Kalthoff reports that the survivors still believe that he should be brought to trial.
There's nothing that you can say or really do that will erase what has happened.
The memory of 20-year-old Leanne Carter is still very much alive at her Brandon home. Her bedroom is as it was, with her collection of dolls on display and her Beatle posters on the wall. Her parents say it comforts them.
I know I have to be strong and go on, but I'll never forget her. And if I didn't have the memories, there wouldn't be anything left for me.
Leanne Carter was one of 5 people killed when John William Ferry walked into this Palm River Road Winn-Dixie store a year ago with a bucket of gasoline. He tossed it at Carter, a checkout clerk, and lit the gas ablaze. 13 others were injured that night. From the beginning, it was clear Billy Ferry was a troubled man.
I crucified Hillsborough County with radioactive asbestos stuff.
His bizarre behavior quickly got the unkempt drifter declared insane in court. That decision sent Ferry to an institution and left the victims' families appalled.
Common sense tells you that, man, this just isn't right.
The way it is now, he is up there and he's living every day. He's not. And I feel like he ought to be put in this case.
Billy Ferry remains in a state mental hospital. His next scheduled evaluation is more than a year away. He has cleaned up, and he's said to be in better mental health than he was here. But he may never stand trial for the tragedy he sparked at this grocery store July 4th weekend a year ago. Ken Kalthoff, Pulse 13, Hillsborough County.
Came a man who made headlines, accused of firebombing a supermarket and killing 5 innocent people.
Newswatch 8's Chuck Durante covered the tragedy a year ago today and is leading off a team report. Chuck, what has this year meant?
Well, for Billy Ferry, it's been a year of psychiatric evaluations and life with the state's most dangerous criminally insane. But if you ask a member of the victim's family, at least it's a life.
The firebombing 1 year ago today killed 5 people and injured 16 others. After the crime, the accused Billy Ferry was judged incompetent to stand trial. He was sent here to the state hospital at Chattahoochee, where he's constantly being evaluated. When we asked to talk to and photograph Billy Ferry, his attorney said absolutely not. But he lives here, behind a double barbed wire fence, and the state's maximum security for the criminally insane. Since Ferry left Hillsborough County, he's had one other competency hearing. On January 27th, his records indicate John William Ferry is still incompetent to stand trial, and that further hospitalization is warranted. Stuart Parsons was in charge of the latest evaluation. He's the director of the hospital's division dealing with the criminally insane.
In about 75 to 80% of our cases, the people have their competency restored and they're back to court within 6 months after they arrive here. The remaining group, we stay, a considerably longer period, but most of them ultimately leave here and ultimately return to the criminal justice system in some fashion.
Bringing Billy Ferry to trial may even be more important to the families of the victims. Lee Carter was a cashier at the supermarket. She died instantly in the fire. Her parents keep her bedroom the same as it was 1 year ago when she was alive. It's a constant reminder of her and the family's desire for justice.
The memory of her and the life that we had with her, the family, is just fantastic.
I know she'll never be replaced, but I do think that the man who killed her should have to pay with his life because he took her and the others.
I'm Ann Dwyer. July 2nd, 1983, a day that brought tragedy to many families. It was a destructive scene. Burn victims were transported with delicacy. Employees were comforted by friends and families. Investigators smelled for gasoline. The charred registers were visual reminders of what happened inside. An unidentified eyewitness recalled what he saw that night.
Poor cashier, she didn't make it. You see, he burned the bad boy real bad. I think he's still alive.
Ellis Pajoles was bagging groceries. He did survive, but not without scars. His back was badly burned. His legs were scarred too.
Right now, I'm going through the slow process of being a burn victim and going on in life.
Elizabeth Britton, her daughter Melita, and granddaughter Pammy were in the checkout line that night. All three were burned. Mrs. Britton says while the burns have healed, the emotional trauma has not.
You're a beautiful young girl. They're going to take your money, and all of a sudden you look up, she's in flames. You don't forget that, never. 3 months after it all happened, I had a emotional physical breakdown. I couldn't cope with anything. And, it just, really, it gets you. I'll remember it.
The Brittons were one of the families helped out financially by the WXFL telethon and a fund set up by the Red Cross. The burn victims say the tragedy is now a nightmare, one they'd like to forget, but say they never will. Ann Dwyer, Newswatch 8, Claremont City.
Roberts is suing for damages to herself. She was badly burned. The family of Melody Darlington is also suing for wrongful death. Melody was 16. But more than money, the families tell us what they want is to see Billy Ferry stand trial. And a year later, no one knows if he ever will.
Court system. It's a new Florida law that will take effect in October. As Newswatch 8's Chris Hansen is here to tell us tonight, the new law will be used. Chris, I understand you have spoken with a family who's been victimized about as much as any family could be.
That was just about a year and 2 days ago that Lee Carter was killed when that Winn-Dixie grocery store was firebombed. The Carter family will never forget the horror of that night. Nightmares keep it vivid in their minds. But with this new law, the Carters will have input in every step of the judicial system if accused firebomber Billy Ferry ever goes to trial. You may remember hearing about Lee Carter when Billy Ferry allegedly threw 3 gallons of gasoline around this Winn-Dixie store and ignited it. 2 gallons splashed on the 20-year-old checkout clerk. The young woman was filling in at the Claremont Winn-Dixie just for that night.
Well, this day, a year ago, I sat here waiting for the coroner to call, saying I could come and claim her body. And I wait until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they finally call them and say, you can come and tell your funeral home to come and pick her body up. And I never saw her again.
A year later, Nida Carter still has nightmares of her daughter on fire screaming. The pain of Lee's loss will never leave this family, but under the new victims' rights law, the 3 remaining Carters will be notified of any judicial action taken against Billy Ferry, and they will be able to give their thoughts in person or by letter in every step of the judicial process. Billy Ferry so far is not competent to stand trial. He is being treated or at least housed at a state mental institution in Chattahoochee. But if Ferry ever does go to trial, the Carters know what they'll say under the new law.
Nothing will ever take the place of our daughter. Absolutely nothing. But I feel personally that the person who has committed this terrible, terrible crime, yes, I would emphasize that the death penalty be applied in this case.
I think they should make the right decisions about the trial and everything, and that they should just give the death sentence to him, because he took my sister's life, and I just think that his life should be taken the same way.
That law takes effect in October. If you are a victim or the family of a victim, the state attorney handling the case will notify you as to parole, probation, and trial proceedings against the criminal who acted against you.
Chris, what about victims of crimes which occurred before October?
Well, the criminal has already gone to trial. There's obviously nothing that a victim or the family of a victim can do in the trial process. But if that criminal does come up for parole or probation or appeal on the crime, they can get involved, and the state attorney will contact them.
from around the world challenged the powerful, and they bring all of this to every story that breaks.
We've got breaking news, and it's good news.
And touches your heart.
How do you even say thank you? Thank you is not big enough.
I made this.
Survivors.
Apa? Apa yang ada? Coba.